everyone, this week's story is The Bravest Ever Bear by Alan Alberg and Paul Howard. Now, I like this story. It's rather a silly one. The Bravest Ever Bear by Alan Alberg, illustrated by Paul Howard. The bear. Once upon a time, there was a bear. That's me. Huh? The end. What's going on? The other bear. Once upon a time, there was another bear. No, it's still me. The end. Oh, this is no fun. The three bears. Once upon a time, there were three bears, a cottage, some porridge, a girl named Goldilocks, a police chase, a trial, and 6 weeks community service. Serves her right. The end. Once upon a time, there were 24 black bears. Sing a song of sixpence, a pocket full of rye, 24 black bears baked in a pie. The end. This is ridiculous. The penguin. Once upon a time, there was a penguin. A penguin? Yeah, what's wrong with penguins? The end. This is really ridiculous. The sausage. Once upon a time, there was a... That's it. I've had enough. Can I cook you something? I'm going to write the next one. The Bravest Ever Bear. Once upon a time, there was a perfect bear. He was a baby. He won first prize in the baby bear show. When he went to school, he came top of the class. When he grew up, he did, lots of brave things. He rescued Red Riding Hood and her grandma from the wolf and tied him up with a skipping rope until the police came. He solved the traffic problems on the rickety-rackety bridge. There was a troll under the bridge. This troll was very big and very hungry. He kept stopping motorists coming back from the supermarket. He threatened to eat them all for supper unless they gave him all their shopping. Some people phoned the bear and asked him to help. Well, what the bear did was he punched the troll on the nose and, just to be sure, he, built another bridge. Then one day, the bear did his best and bravest deed of all. What shall I do? He slew the dragon. The dragon's picture was in all the newspapers. He was eating everything, left, right and centre, and setting things on fire. So the king went on TV and offered a whole pile of prizes to anyone who could rid the kingdom of the dreadful dragon. The prizes included a fridge freezer, a 3-piece suite, a Toyota 4-wheel drive, and the hand of his daughter in marriage. After that, lots of young men, youngest sons, older brothers, visiting princes, and so on, tried to slay the dragon and rescue the princess, whom the dragon had previously captured. They came with swords and guns, horses and bicycles, cars and excavators and forklift trucks, but all to no avail. You can say that again. The bear, though, had a better idea. With a fire engine. Anyway, in no time, all the Bravest Ever Bear had put the dragon's fire well and truly out, rammed him with the engine and tied him up with the hose. Is your name George? No. He didn't actually slay him, though. After that, the bear rescued the princess, collected his prizes, got married and, lived happily ever after. No, he didn't. The end. No? No! And it's not the end either. It's not even the beginning. It's the wrong story. Anyway, I'm not marrying a bear. How about a penguin? Push off, penguin. Now, let's see. The Perfectest Ever Princess. Once upon a time, there was a princess. I thought this was a bear book. The princess was the fairest in the land, of course, but also the smartest. She had no trouble with dragons, trolls or wolves, come to that. Really? And no time for princes. Push off, prince. Ah! Also, she was just sick of footmen and French maids, gardeners and grooms, governesses, homework, keeping her room tidy, not having her own TV. Princes, oh, I mentioned them already, and palace life altogether. So one day, what she did was, let's see. She moved into a flat with a couple of friends, started a career in television and went shopping. The end.
The end? I doubt it. You can say that again. We've hardly started.
I don't like this book.
The wolf, the troll, and the dragon. Once upon a time there was a happy wolf. All day long he just sat around eating little pigs, 3 at a time. Little girls, baskets of shopping, grandmas and so on. His best pal was a troll. He ate baskets of shopping too, and shoppers. Often the wolf and the troll would have little snacks under the troll's comfortable and cosy bridge, or they would go on a picnic. One day the wolf and the troll were out with their picnic basket when who should they meet but one of their old pals, the dragon. The dragon was in a dreadful state. He had just been run over, believe it or not, by a bear in a fire engine. This bear was well known to the wolf and the troll.
Was he?
They'd had trouble with him themselves. So, then what these 3 loyal companions, musketeers you might call them, what they did was, they straight away went down into town and got their own back. All for one and one for all. In the town there was a king and queen, a bride and groom, a wedding.
Oh, not this again. And a banquet.
Hooray! Also, a wolf, a troll and a dragon, that's us, who just came strolling in and ate the lot. That end. Pardon me.
No, you forgot one thing.
The wedding cake. Oh, yes, the wedding cake. Well then, surprise, surprise, out of the cake jumped 4 and 20 black bears. Black belt bears, actually. In next to no time, they'd wrestled the wolf, the troll and the dragon into submission and tied them up. Everybody cheered. The king was so pleased that he gave the bears half his kingdom and a 24-piece suit. So then, of course, the banquet could continue. Not a crumb, not a drop, not a sausage. There again, speaking of sausages. The sausage. Huh? Once upon a time there was a sausage. There really was. This sausage was a chef. As it happened, he had cooked the first banquet and the first cake, so all he had to do was cook another. Nothing to it. After that, everybody, black bears and princes, grandmas and Goldilocks, French maids, shoppers and little pigs, ate their fill. Soon the king was full, the queen as well, and the happy, bravest ever bear was bulging. The end. Oh, put me to bed. Don't bend me. The bed. Once upon a time, there was a bed. Oh, good. With a bear in it. Oh, better still. The end. Now, let's see. I don't think the penguin was quite ready to finish the story yet. Luckily, we've got a little job to do. So, I'm going to stop the video while I move my board and I will touch about what I would like you to do next. Now might be a good time to go and have a little break because you've been sat watching this for 10 minutes. Maybe go and have 5 minutes, go and have a quick run round outside or go and get a drink and get some fresh air. Right, I'll see you in a second. Hello, I'm glad you're back. This is our job for our English this week. Me and Mrs. Dunn would like you to write a little bit about a time that you were brave. Can you think of one time you were brave? Maybe take a minute now, pause the video and try to think.
I hope you've got a time you were brave in your head ready to write about. Okay, I've written some things on the board I want us to use in our writing. I'm going to show you. I'd like us, when we do our writing, when we write about the time that we were brave, I want us, when we finish, after each sentence, to check these things and check that we're trying to do them, that we're using capital letters, our uppercase letters, when we need to do a capital letter. So can you remember when we need to do a capital letter? Have a think now. We need to use a capital letter when we do the start of a sentence, when we do a name of a person or the name of a place, or for days of the week. I'd like us to use a full stop. Now, we use full stops at the end of our sentences to show that we can have a little rest when we're reading. I'd like you, in between all of your words, to make sure you're remembering to use your finger space. Now, if you've got lovely neat writing, they don't actually need to be as wide as your finger. We just need to be able to see that gap. And we certainly don't want big giant car parking spaces. Remember, you only need to be able to get your finger in the space. I want you to think carefully about your spellings as well. Now, we gave you a sheet of spellings in your pack, so make sure you're looking at those words and make sure we're spelling those Year 1 words properly. I also want you to read it and check it makes sense. I've done some writing, so we're going to do that together in a moment. I also want you to, just like last week, try and use those joining words. And, so, but, because. Now, if you would like a superstar challenge, here is your superstar challenge for this week. If you're finding doing the writing really, really easy and you want to make it a little bit harder for yourself, I'd like you to try and use a different sentence starter for each sentence. Try and find a different word for as many of the sentences as you can. Now, you might not be able to find one for every sentence, but have a think about how you can change the order of words round to use a different word at the start. It makes your writing more interesting. So you could use words like next, then, suddenly. Because we're writing about something that happened, a recount, we can use some of those time words as well. And the last thing I want you to do is use some describing words. Try and make your writing sound super exciting. If it's a time you were brave, you might want to try and make it scary, which means you could maybe even use an exclamation mark. Okay, I'm going to show you my writing now. Okay, here is my piece of writing. I'm going to read it to you really quick, and then we're going to go through and see what we think of it and see if we can make it any better, see if there's any mistakes that I've made, and we can look at some different things that I've used in my writing that you might want to magpie for yours. I'm going to highlight it so you can read it with me if you would like to. I was very brave when I went to Centre Parks. Can you see every time I get to a full stop, I take a little break. I did the terrifying high ropes around the rainy treetops with my brothers. I felt very worried because it was very high and very windy. We were all very brave and pretended that we weren't scared, but my hands would not stop shaking the whole time. Just as I was starting to not feel quite so scared, about halfway round, something terrible happened. So I put a bit of emphasis onto that sentence. I showed some emotion because I put my exclamation mark in there. It started to rain and get even more windy. The trees started swaying and I really didn't want to move, and I kept going anyway. The scariest bit was at the end when we had to do a very long zip line that went right over the lake. I don't think I would want to do it again, but I felt proud of how brave I was. Okay, now let's start to go through and check our different things. I'm going to mark the capital letters first. Let's see if we can find those. So my capital letters, I should use capital letters when I use I, and I've done it here. And I should use it doubly there because it's the start of a sentence, but I've got an I here in the middle of a sentence where I've had to remember my capital letter. And I talked about the place where we were. It was centre part. So I've used a capital C and a capital P. So anytime I've got the end of a sentence, the beginning of a new sentence, I've got the name of a place, a name of a person, or the day of the week, I will use a capital letter. Let's have a look at my full stops. So there we go. I've done my capital letters and my full stops. And you can see after every full stop, I should have a capital letter. Okay, I'm not going to put our finger spaces in because I'm typing and it puts my finger spaces in for me. You'll know if you've done finger spaces because you'll be able to read it more easily. I'm going to mark some spellings that I want us to have a look at in purple. There, I only put some mistakes into the first sentence, but I want you to check all the way through yours because I want to give you time to get on with yours. I was brave when. Can you spot what letter is missing for when? Let's see if we can put it in. That's one of our tricky words. So it's on our list of year one words, which you should have in your packs. Rops. I tried to spell ropes, so I need to make that O into an O sound. I think it's the split digraph. Let's have a look. That looks better, yeah. And I don't think that's how you write I like that. I think it looks like that. That looks much better. Again, that's probably on our year one list as well. Okay, now I'm going to mark in my joining words. Okay, I've put in all of our joining words. Now there's one sentence I want us to have a look at. It started to rain and get even more windy. That's the first part of this sentence here. The trees started swaying and I really didn't want to move and I kept going anyway. That sentence sounds quite weird. It's because I used and twice. So I might want to change one of those because remember, we can only use each joining word once in a sentence. After that, we want to think of another joining word. We don't really want any more than 2 joining words in a sentence. What other joining word could I use? I've got and, so, but, because. The tree started swaying and I really didn't want to move, but I kept going anyway. I like that. Let's just check to see if any of the others are better. I really didn't want to move because I kept going anyway. That doesn't quite fit. I really didn't want to move, so I kept going anyway. I think I was right with my first word. I think but is my best word. But I kept going anyway. Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at my sentence starters. There we are. I've marked in our describing words. So I have used quite a lot of describing words in my work, which is great. While I went through, I even got to add an extra one. At the end, I said the scariest bit was at the end when we had to do a very long zip line that went right over the deep lake. So I added the word deep to make that more interesting. If I talk about something, if I can, it's a good idea to put a word describing it in front of it. Like I talked about the rainy treetops. And I said it was very windy and something terrible happened, not just something happened. And the trees started swaying. So another thing I can do is talk about some of the things that are happening around me as well. Okay, thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you have lots of fun doing this. You don't have to highlight yours like this, like I have. I've done it so you don't have to. Just go through and see which bits you can remember to do. Remember, the different sentence starters and the describing words are if you want to challenge. Have fun, damsons and pears, and I can't wait to see you soon.